How is everybody doing? And welcome back for another Strength Chat episode. Today, I've got a very special guest for you all. Today, I'm joined by a gym owner. She's a strong woman. She's a Giants Live commentator, all-round cool person. Today, I am joined by the one and only Nicola Buchan. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on. How are you? What's been happening in your world recently?
Well, what's not been happening? We've had competitions in the gym. We've had charity events in the gym where Terry Hollands came up and joined us in the gym, which was like mind blowing. I'm standing in my little gym, that I only opened like 3 years ago, where I wasn't a part of Giants Live. I just started competing, and here is the man, Terry Hollands himself, standing in my gym, competing, commentating again next weekend for Europe's Strongest Man. So yeah, it's all go. It's all go.
Nice. And how are you feeling after? Because it would have been a couple of weekends now. How are you feeling after yourself competing? Because I know traveling around with commentating and those sorts of things. But how are you feeling after your competition?
Yeah, I feel fine. I felt absolutely great. Like I just went and enjoyed it. Was chuffed I got second place. Like I hadn't prepared for this comp. Like I said, I was never competing again because I had a bit of a tantrum after last year's loss, and I was like, I'm not competing again. So I just jumped in last minute. I just done a cut, so I was really happy that I didn't even think I'd podium. I wasn't there to do anything but see if I could enjoy it again, and I did. I loved every second of it, and to be honest, I could have done the same again after doing the comp. Like I was absolutely fine. I was absolutely
Yeah,
fine. I just think I was, because I loved it so much, that
yeah,
there was no stress, and I think that's where a lot of my tiredness comes from. I don't really get tired from training or competing. It's usually the stress I put myself on. So yeah, I
yeah,
felt fine. Felt absolutely
yeah.
fine.
No, nice. And how have you been getting on? Because I know obviously there's been quite a lot of competitions that you've been going to commentating and everything. How have you found kind of balancing, running your own gym and work and then traveling around? How have you kind of found balancing that?
Um, I mean, it's challenging. You've just got to be really, really organized. And I'm the same as everyone else where I do procrastinate. Like, there's some days I literally sit and pretend I'm doing work and I do nothing all day. And then I'm like, oh, I've done nothing. But do you know what? Sometimes those days are needed. Sometimes you just need to accept that you need a fucking day off.
Yeah,
Because when you're a business owner, you don't have a day off. Like you pretend and you think, yeah, I'm gonna have a day off today, but you're always checking emails, you've always got to do something. So I think some days when you do just sit and you pretend that you're researching things on YouTube, you're not. You're just like telling yourself, I'm gonna sit and do this research, but actually you're just wanting to do nothing. I think
yeah,
that's okay and you shouldn't feel guilty about that. So I've done that quite a lot recently, I would say. But as long as you plan and you don't stress about time, it's fine. It's
yeah.
fine. You just get it done.
Yeah, I always like to ask that question because I know for clients and members that I train, and myself included,
Yeah.
is just I like the sort of honest answer of, yeah, do you know what? Sometimes I don't get everything done that I need to get done, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to tell members or clients that that's okay. Like you can't be 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's not gonna happen. Which is like it's okay. Like
Yeah.
everyone's like that a little bit sometimes.
100%. I
Um,
think as a coach, it's really good to be honest about, like, for example, if you say to somebody, I'm going to have X done for you today, and then, it's not needed to be done, but you think, yeah, I've got time, I'm going to do that today, and then you run out of time.
yeah,
I think a lot of coaches or a lot of people would like just pretend, like make up an excuse or something that's like they don't feel like they can just say to their client, look, ran out of time today. I've got it in my calendar. Realistically, it's probably going to be Friday now, but and I think as long as I don't need that thing right now, or you can give them something, then they're quite honest. And, the fact that you're honest and open, they don't mind because they're like, oh, that's fine. And then it makes them feel good because they're like, oh, yeah, I feel the same. I didn't get this done today. And then
yeah,
you can have a conversation. It's just about being honest with yourself and open and being like, I didn't have time for that today. This is why, but I'll do it by this day, and just not getting stressed, because I used to get stressed about time. Oh my God, time. And now I'm just like, I will have time when I have time. I can only do what I can do.
Yeah, and I suppose being because I'm a big fan of just being honest, because then you just manage expectations on yourself, but then also manages expectations for the member or client.
Yeah,
Sometimes just being honest just takes that stress off a little bit, and then you're
yeah,
like, oh right, they aren't gonna leave because I haven't done it on time. It's just there might be 10 other things that need getting done as well.
definitely.
I know I did quite a brief introduction there,
Yeah.
but for everyone listening who might not know your background
hmm
in training, coaching, basically how you got to the point where you are now, just want to give a little bit of background to yourself.
Oh, where do I start? There's so much things. I'll go through it very quickly and briefly. So we'll start with like training then. In 2010, I weighed 22 stone. I just had my daughter. Very unfit, very unhealthy, and decided after my daughter was 9 weeks early, and the consultant pretty much said she was early because you were so unhealthy, like your body just didn't respond well, blood pressure was high, and I just made the decision that I'm not allowed to have any more babies unless I lose this weight. So started walking, started eating better, didn't cut anything out, didn't do any weird diets. I literally just made better choices. Still had very big portions, still ate a lot of food. I mean, I was 22 stone. I needed a lot of food. I was a big gal. Started walking everywhere. That turned into a little bit of jogging. Lost like between 10 and 12 stone. I can't remember exactly. Lost that. Got married, started going to classes like kettlebells, things like that. Realised, no, started seeing these bumps, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? It turned out it was muscle. I was like, oh my goodness, what is that? Started going to this PT, and I was like, what is this? He's like, muscle. I was like, I want more. I want more muscle. So that's how the gym started. And then I seen a gap in the market where I was from, that all the PTs had always been slim, never been big. They'd always been fit. They'd always been into fitness. So I was like, I'm going to be the one that can be relatable to the bigger people out there and show them that it's possible. Became a PT classes for years. Then I would say, how many years in? Probably 5 years into that, I decided to challenge myself. This was like the first big fitness thing I'd done, and I did an ultra marathon for charity. And then after that, was very, very bored. Didn't know what else to do, because I was like, I had this goal that I was working toward. Obviously, to start with, it was weight loss, then it was growing the business, then it was the run. Started Strongwoman. Did it 2 sessions, went to my first comp, won, hooked. That was it. Like that was it. And then just things started happening from there. Me and my husband then split up. Then I decided I wanted to have my own gym, and then built my business, and then even more hooked into strongman. So I wanted then to be more involved in that. Found myself commentating, and then it just spiraled. And then now strongman is everything. I just love it, and I just have such a passion to get more people involved in the sport, whether they want to compete or not. Just doing it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and with that, it comes across, especially when you started chatting there about getting involved in strength and strongman. Like you can see that you enjoy. You can see you enjoy it from the content that you put out there.
Yeah.
Did you ever think when you started PT and doing classes that you would end up opening in a gym and do that thing, or was it a case of, because sometimes why I ask this is we have like an internship at the gym, so people from like college, uni can come in, see what it's all about, and take from there. And they have like a plan in their head, like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and do this. And I quite liked what you said there, because for me, I kind of the main reason I became a PT, I came back from Australia, had no money, and a guy opened a gym and was like, "Do you want to do some boot camps?" Because I like training, and I was like, "Yeah, fine, I'll do boot camps. That's cool." And
Yeah.
then it ends up snowballing from there. Did you ever have a plan, or was it just a case of, "I'm enjoying this. I'm going to see where it goes"?
No, I did not have a plan. So when I first qualified as a fitness instructor, I was teaching a lot of classes, and I still to this day love HIIT training. I absolutely love teaching classes, although I've not done it for a while. Anyone local listening, I am starting classes again soon because I do miss them. And I actually just said I was just going to be a fitness instructor. I did not want to be a coach. I didn't want to be a PT. I loved the group aspect of training. I just love that environment, still love it. So I had no plan to become a PT, but I had more and more requests about it. So I thought, well, I'll just get my qualification anyway since I'm doing it. And then started that. And yeah, the gym thing, I started working out in my garage. So a big gym opened in the local area. I loved it. I was a big part of it. But as time went on, I realised like the commercial side of things wasn't for me when I was doing more strength training. Wasn't really for me. And then started training in my garage. And I don't know, I think when me and my husband split up, I just felt like I had my own little space in my garage where people could come and feel great, but I didn't have enough room and where
Right.
they could come and feel comfortable. And then because I was obviously struggling with my breakup and things, I just wanted to have somewhere where I could make people feel good and a place that they could go
Yeah.
if they were going through things like that. So a gym was naturally going to be the thing that was going to open, like out of anything.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I make this little community I've got in my garage bigger? How can
Yeah.
I? And it was more after I competed. The feeling you get when you're competing is like no other. And I was like, I want people to have this every day. How can I do this? And then very naively signed out my lease for the gym. I didn't have a fucking clue. I still don't, to be honest. I just wing it. And that was it. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a space for the people that are scared to go to the gyms, have a place where they feel they can go to the gym. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. Nice.
That's what I
I think
wanted.
that's a cool sort of like message to put out there
Mm.
because and I know we'll dive into this a little bit more, but the gym can be I think the gym's very specific to each person, and
Mm-hmm.
how people feel when they go there isn't going to be the same.
Yep.
But the overriding thing is, as long as you feel comfortable, doesn't matter whether it's a person in their 80s who might be just like, do you know what, I just want to do a little bit of movement, compared to somebody else who's like, right, actually I want to try and compete at Britain's Strongest Man or
Yep.
whatever else. I think there's a place there for it.
Yep.
So I suppose the first topic to dive into from your own experience, your own sort of like journey in training, if you like, to competing, is why do you think the gym is so far out of a lot of people's comfort zone? Because and I'm sure you've had this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients who are like business owners. Like I once trained a guy who worked for a bank, and he was basically like the enforcer for a bank. So if a bank wasn't doing very well, he'd like go in and fix everything.
Yeah.
And then put him in the gym environment, and he just wasn't that confident
Mm-hmm.
person, because I actually saw him outside of the gym. He wasn't that confident person outside of the gym. Put him in gym environment, completely out of his comfort zone, and I think that's the same for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Did you find that when you first started training, and what's kind of your approach with the clients that you train?
So, to be honest, I didn't suffer from gym anxiety. I probably suffer more from it now going into a big commercial gym than I did then.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it, but I suppose when I started it was a bit different because it was so long ago that it really not much people did it, so there wasn't really that pressure of gym anxiety then.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying people weren't nervous then, but it just never crossed my mind to be nervous. And I was very fortunate that I had a PT. So
Yeah.
the first session I had in the gym was with him, and I never remember being nervous or going in and worrying about what people thought. But I've never been the type of person to care what people think. It's just, I think I'm just like so focused on what I'm doing that it doesn't register what other people are doing. And like I said, now when I go to a commercial gym, because I'm so used to like free weights and just barbells, if I go in and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this machine? I don't know what to do. And I just start, and then it takes me a minute where I'm like, nobody cares. Just go and ask them like what it does. I've always been quite a confident person in that way. But I think the problem with a lot of people these days is the reason they're not confident in it is because they've never been in that environment. They've never done it.
Yeah.
Never. And like when we're not the reason we're not confident in things is because we've never done it.
Yeah.
Like that guy you're saying, he's okay to go into a bank. Tell me to go to a bank to tell people what to do. One, I have got no idea about numbers. So I'd be really uncomfortable going to do any kind of speaking in a bank because I've never done it.
Yeah.
Once I'd done it, I'd be okay. And I
Yeah.
think moving forward, like it's very, very important for young adults and children to be in a gym environment because everyone needs fitness in their life. It doesn't have to be a gym, but you need fitness. You need to be moving, right? Okay, to be healthy, it's a must. Strength training, I believe, is one of them, but it doesn't have to be if that's not your thing. So I think it's just the gym anxiety comes from the fact that that generation just weren't surrounded by that. They just weren't brought up with that. They weren't in that environment, so it's going to be very uncomfortable. And I think the only way to deal with that as an adult is just doing it, like getting a friend to go with you, get a coach if you can, if that's an option. Get something in place that you're going to feel a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on your own. And then if you're thinking for your children, you don't want them to get gym anxiety. If you're past that, get them in the gym as soon as possible. Even if they're not training, they're just young and they're just going with you or seeing you do it. Because I know my kids can walk into any gym and not have any issue because they've been in the gym since they were born.
Yeah.
So I think the gym anxiety it's the same as anything else. If you've never done it, it's going to be scary, but you're only going to feel better once you do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think? Because I think that's a good point, and it's kind of what's that? I can't remember what film it is, but like people are scared of what they don't understand, and it's like with anything, you if you've never done it before, of course it's going to be scary. Do you think that? And I know probably more so looking at the strength side of things, because when you're talking about just getting people moving, people will go out for a run, cycling, especially coming up to summer, a lot of people do boot camps. I know I started off doing boot camps. I know how popular those are. But do you think sometimes the perception of strength training, you look at powerlifting, weightlifting, strongman, and it's a little bit like, bloody hell, look at what this weight that people are lifting, and it's that perception of, well, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm not strong enough. I'm not fit enough to do that. Whereas, there's a couple of gyms in Leeds that do like strongman and strongwoman Saturdays. Like anyone can go down, which I think is cool. And I've been down. It's like it's really good. It's like, oh, we'll give this a go, do that a go. Do you think sometimes it's the perception that gets built up that, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think people assume that if they start lifting, they're going to have to lift that heavy, and they don't believe they can do it. So I did have a client recently start. She was a client years and years ago. She came back and she came in. So with my local clients, I offer like a group session where they can come in. I can check over their form. They're just doing the workout and I go around and check all their form. And she came in and there was one client that does strong women. So she's lifting really heavy. And this was her first session back. And she's like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. Like, I couldn't do that, but I don't want to do it. And I was like, well, you don't have to lift that heavy.
Yeah.
Just because you're lifting doesn't mean you have to lift super heavy. That doesn't have to be the goal. You can still lift and not have to compete. You don't have to lift, over 100 kilos in a deadlift. You don't have to do that. You can stick to your 30 kilos in your deadlift. If that gets you moving and keeps your muscles at the, capability that they are, and keeps them strong, keeps them active, then you don't have to lift that. I think it's the perception of when you start weight training, you have to lift heavy. It's like, you don't have to lift heavy. If you want to stick to, if your goal isn't to lift heavy, then that's okay. You don't need to. You can still come and do 30 kilos on a deadlift, and we can change it in other ways, and we can make it challenge in other ways. You don't even have to do a flipping deadlift.
Yeah.
We can do other things. I think that they just see people, and like you said, they have that perception as, oh, I'm gonna have to lift that heavy, and I can't.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to. And one, you don't know if you can because you've never done it. But don't feel like you need to do anything. Lifting weights can look totally different for absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
But it's so important to do it.
Yeah, I think for that it might be like, oh well, it's quite obvious. Of course, you're going to feel uncomfortable if you've never done it before. You don't have to do that. Why do you think? Because sometimes, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this. There's there's a couple of members in the gym, and I would say probably they're I'll probably say they're like the strongest group in the gym, and everyone's like, oh wow, are you lifting really heavy? And then it got to a point where they were like, do you know what? Actually, I quite fancy doing a competition. So this was for powerlifting, and there was a couple of novice competitions. There was a deadlift only competition. I was like, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. You're strongest in gym. Let's just go and say, I didn't get up any totals, qualifying totals, or anything like that. Go give it a go. They had a really good day. Wasn't intimidating. Wasn't like everyone had fun. And now they want to do a couple of competitions. Why do you think that people think that as soon as they start lifting, it's like the competition police are going to jump out and be like, right, that's it, you've deadlifted, you need to go to a competition? Or like when you mentioned earlier, like, what are these bumps? It's muscles. People sometimes think that, oh, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's like, well, that's not going to happen straight away. Why do you think people look at one thing and then be like, oh, so I'm going to have to compete, or I'm going to have to I'm going to put on loads of muscle straight away? Whereas actually some of the strongest people I know, like, just, well, it sounds daft, but you know, they're not walking around like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they're really strong. Why do you think people always go to that the end point straight away, that they have to be competing or pack on loads of muscle?
Well, social media's got a lot to do with like the expectation of, you know, you don't often see, I'm not saying there's not any, but I haven't seen, not people I follow, you don't often just have somebody that's lifting weights and just doing it because they enjoy it on social media.
Yeah.
It's usually coaches, it's usually people that compete. So I think they just go by that. You know, so I think that's one, just an expectation of that. And it's still that very much back in the day where women shouldn't lift weights because men lift weights and men get muscles and it's masculine. I think people are still stuck in that. With the competition thing, I think what it is because in strength gyms, especially, I wouldn't say commercial gyms, I think that's probably why commercial gyms are much busier, but in strength gyms, there are a lot of people competing. So people, when they join those gyms, they assume that if they join this gym and they lift like these people, they're going to have to compete. They just assume that. And that's just like putting pressure on themselves, really. Like we all do that subconsciously, put pressure. So I just think that it's just still this, people just assume that they know what they think they know what they need to do. And but I think social media's got a lot to do with that, because that's just all we see.
Yeah.
Like if people are lifting weights, it's because they're competing or because they're trying to get really muscly or trying to get on a stage, but that's not actually true. So my thing would be to say to people, if you do join a gym and you do want to lift weights, but you've no intention of being super muscly and you've got no intention of competing, then just ask that question.
Yeah.
Just ask somebody in the gym to reassure you, if I start joining in this club, do I need to compete? Absolutely not. If I start lifting those weights, am I going to get super muscly? Absolutely not. I've been lifting for 10 years. I'm still nowhere near where I want to be muscle-wise. And it's taken me all this time to get like this. And I want to be big and muscly.
Yeah.
But I think it's just social media has ruined it for
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
and it puts
Yeah.
so much pressure on people. I also think some people that come in, and this is not everyone, some people come in and they secretly want to compete. And the self-doubt creeps in, like, oh, well, I'm not going to start because then I'm going to have to compete. But really, you want to do it. So you've got to ask yourself, do you want to compete? If there's that, it looks cool and I'd love to try it, but I'm a little bit scared in case I'm shit. Well, you need to be clear. Do you want to see if you can compete? You want to try it out for that reason? If it's yes, then cool, excellent. That's what you want to do. Maybe you won't want to do that getting near the time, but at least open that door and see what happens. If the answer is absolutely not, I do not want to compete, that's not what I want, then fine, you've made that decision.
Yeah.
You have to be clear on what you want.
Yeah. Do you think, because my train of thought on that, I think on some level, everybody's got some kind of competitive bug in them.
100%.
Everybody's, and I think as just humans, we're all curious. Everybody wants to be like, well, could I do that? Have you ever had anyone who is like flat out, no, I don't want to compete, but then over time actually would be like, oh well, I want to kind of give it a go? Do you think everyone has that kind of competition inside them, that curiosity to give it a go?
I have all my strong women ladies said they wouldn't compete, and now they're
Right.
all
Okay.
competing.
Right.
And that was that's where that self-doubt is. That's where I've seen that before, where
Yeah.
they've come in, because when I opened the gym, there was only me and my friend Ellie that did strong women, no one else. And you would see them come in, they'd be like watching, and gosh, I can't believe you can do it. I could never do that. I'm like, have you tried it? No. How do you know then? Well, I don't know. So the question is, do you want to try it? Not whether you can. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I started like the strongman classes, and we all met up and tried different things. Now they're all competing, where
Yeah.
they said that they would never compete. Even when they started training it, they were like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I definitely don't want to compete. And then I would just make them do more, because I knew that they kept saying this, I don't want to compete, I don't want to compete. I'm like, why are you going on about it? You clearly do. It's there. It's lingering.
Yeah.
However, I have met people that just would not want to compete. They don't have that competitive bone in them. They just don't. But they're people that are very, very sure about themselves, very content, very confident. I want to do the gym, but I have no desire to compete. That
Yeah.
just isn't in them. They've got other priorities. So I have met people on both sides
Yeah.
that 100% but those are the people that are very aware of themselves. That's what I'm saying
Yeah.
about those people that are, you need to be clear. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to know straight away, but if that keeps popping in your head about competing, could I not? You're never going to know unless you just do it. Now, you could do
Yeah.
it one time and never fucking do it again if you don't
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
But if that keeps cropping up, then there's something there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
And
mean? Like, if it's
yeah.
cropping up all the time, why waste any more energy thinking about it and just go for it and then make
Yeah.
your decision after you've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't know. Like, what's that phrase? You don't know what you don't know. You're always
Yeah.
going to be thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure." And what
Then
I
you might
find,
regret it.
yeah,
Might think, oh,
yeah,
you're 70 odd and you can still compete then, but then you think back, I wish I'd just tried. I wish I'd just done it. I wish I'd done that. And I had one lady did that recently. She kept like saying, oh, maybe I could, maybe I could. So I had the competition at the gym, and I was like, why would you not do it? It's literally on your doorstep.
yeah,
And then so she's now saying that I want to compete, but I've got no intention of traveling to compete. So if you hold a comp, I'll do it because
yeah,
it's here. But she's like, I do it to have something to work toward, but I'm not interested in really competing. It just being in that environment now and again because she wants to do it, something to work
yeah,
towards. So
yeah,
there's like so much ways you can do it. You don't have to do it like anyone else. Do what you want to do.
yeah,
Just be clear.
yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a good point about traveling, especially. around Yorkshire and Leeds, obviously there's loads of gyms, loads of competitions which aren't too far away.
Yeah.
And I've had some members and clients that just want to do local competitions. They don't want to go.
Yeah.
I know once for for British powerlifting there was competition down in Portsmouth, and people were like, "Yeah, I don't really want to go down to Portsmouth," and I was like, "Yeah, it's really far. It's a long drive, but that's fine. I think there's different levels to competing."
Yeah.
And when you mentioned there about meeting people who are like, "Yeah, I don't want to compete," I think sometimes there's a train of thought there of if people don't want to compete, they're not allowed to do like competition events or anything. And it's like, yeah, you can still do that. If you don't want to compete, you can still train like that. It doesn't mean to say that if you do it, it's a little bit like most of my cardio is done on the rower.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna enter a rowing competition. I've got no mindset to do that. But you can still do it. That might be the worst example, but there's you don't have to do it from there.
Yeah.
One thing that you said about for training strong woman and the women looking and being like, "Oh, I'm never going to be able to do that." Do you think sometimes it can be a mindset shift of rather than looking at things and being like, "Nah, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to be able to lift that." A little bit like what you were saying. Have you given it a go? Do you want to give it a go? Actually use it as motivation to be like, actually, I'm going to aim to get to that point. I'm going to give it a go. Do you think it is a mindset shift that people need to have?
100%. It's confidence and self-belief. So I always say to people, don't be a cunt. Don't be a cunt, because I stole that from my very first PT. He used to say that to me. Don't be a cunt. So when we was at the Arnold's, they had on the silverback stall, they had the frame pickup, 300 kilo frame. And I'd say to people, "Come on, you want to try?" "Oh no, I can't do that." I'm like, "Don't be a cunt." And they're like, and then laugh. And I'm like, "How do you know you can't pick that up? Do you train?" "Yeah, I train." "Do you lift weights?" "Yeah, I lift weights." "Do you deadlift?" "Yeah, I deadlift." So what's to say you can't pick that up? If you can go at the gym for 2 hours a day, 4 times a week, train and lift weights, and you look after your body, who told you that you can't lift that? "Oh, well, I don't think I can." I says, "Well, how will you know that you can?" "By trying it." Exactly. Don't be a cunt. You don't know you can do something unless you try. And then 9 times out of 10, when you try something, you can't do it, you then want to be able to do it. But you're never going to want to be able to do it if you just assume, no, I can't do that. And you just have to do it. What's going to happen if you don't manage? Nothing. Nothing bad's going to happen. If that people couldn't lift that 300 kilo frame, who gives a shit? The next person's going to come on, they're going to forget about you. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Only you. And then the amount of people that didn't lift it, and they're like, "Right, is that back next year?" Just gives you that fire straight away. Because they went and tried it. It's not the fact they can't do it, it's that they don't think they can do it. And it's all in the mind. I never once believed I could run an ultramarathon. Absolutely not. But I didn't focus on the ultramarathon. I just focused on, what do I need to potentially be able to do that? I need to eat, sleep. And there's a lot of people as well, going back to that, they have to compete kind of thing. And when you want to compete, I think people have this stigma as, if you want to compete, you have to be working toward the best competitions and the big competitions. And you don't even have to, to be an athlete, you don't even have to fucking compete. To be a professional athlete. But I've got people that come to the gym and they sleep like an athlete, they train like an athlete, they eat like a fucking athlete. They're an athlete. Just because they don't compete, you are still athlete standard. You are doing what all the other athletes are doing. Is it your profession? No. Would you have it as your title? No, but you fucking are still an athlete.
Yeah.
People come into my gym and I'll say, new people, "Oh, do you compete? Are you an athlete?" They're like, "No, no, no, no." I'm like, "Okay, well, which one? Are you an athlete?" "No." "Do you compete?" "No." "Well, I see you in here 5 times a week doing some great shit and with your Tupperware. You look like an athlete to me." "Oh, but I don't compete." "That doesn't matter. You're still an athlete. You're still in here. You act like an athlete, so to me, you're an athlete." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then when they realise that, they then think, maybe I could compete.
Yeah.
I think people think athlete means it has to be your whole life. You can still be an athlete and it not consume your whole life. And I think professional athletes are different. That is their job. But you can still be an athlete and not consume your whole life.
Yeah.
I think people have that stigma of like, if you want to be an athlete, you have to be a professional athlete. No, you don't. You can still be an athlete and not and enjoy it and not consume your life. Like people get really surprised when I say I train 4 times a week. And they're like, oh, but you compete. I'm like, yeah, I can still compete and only train 4 times a week because I do it because I enjoy it. It's not my job.
Yeah.
I just think there's so much stigma people don't understand, and that's what I'm trying to get across to people is you can do whatever you want to do at whatever level you want to do. Like, just you pick. Just be clear on what you want.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it, to be fair. As soon as you're saying that, I was thinking about one of my one-to-one clients. So he randomly, usually it's more of the strength stuff that I'll coach, but actually he was an endurance athlete in his day, marathon, cycling, rowing, but weirdly never did swimming, but he never did a triathlon, which I always like. Well, you did running and cycling, you could have just combined them both together, yeah. But he had a really bad hamstring injury, basically stopped him running, cycling, hiking, doing all the things that he loved. And basically, he's got to a point now where he's doing lots of jumps, doing what you would call like athletic training. And somebody actually went to him and said, "Oh, so were you like? Did you used to be like a professional athlete?" Obviously, that gave him a big shot of confidence. And he was like, "No, like this is just how I like to train." He's got a really busy job. He's a barrister, travels quite a lot with work, but in terms of like how he looks after his sleep, how he looks after his body, yeah, on paper you could say like he's in great nick.
Yeah.
For his age, and he does everything that you would say an athlete does, but yeah, he isn't going to go back to doing marathons. He's going to go back to doing the cycling events that he used to do, but he does everything right, and it's that kind of that thing of if he wanted to, he's probably in a position now that, or he's probably in the best position he has been in a couple of years to be able to do that. When you've said there about confidence, so like I always think what I say to members and clients is that the confidence that you can build up in the gym with your strength training, that's going to carry outside of the gym.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is true. If you're stronger, like I always say, you can walk around and be like, I can pick that up, I can pick that up, I can move that, and it's a cool feeling. Being strong is cool. For people who are training and saying, right, I'm not going to be able to do that 300 kilos. Do you think that sometimes strength training then has or can have a negative impact on confidence? Because then if you are training, there's an expectation that you should be able to do this, and this. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. No, it depends on how what the expectation you're putting on yourself. You've got to be realistic with your goals and things like that. Like, I just did my podcast with Eddie Hall, and I told him that when I started doing compound lifts because I seen Eddie Hall's 500 kilo deadlift, and I remember, because I was very unaware, again, didn't have the knowledge, thinking when I did my first ever deadlift, right, and this is not me just showing off. First ever deadlift, I didn't warm up, did nothing. I did not know what to do. I was doing HIIT training and spin classes. I pulled 135 kilo deadlift. Now I absolutely broke my back, right? Now, if somebody walks in and can pull 135 kilos, I'm like, holy shit, you are so strong. I didn't think that was great because I was like, but Eddie Hall pulled 500. So I need to get to that level. Okay, chill out, Nichola. You're never going to pull 500, okay? Almost killed the man, right? But that was the expectation that I had, that you're only strong if you can pull 500 kilos, because I didn't know. So I think the key thing is, if you're starting your journey, surround yourself with people that know, that can give you, follow the people on Instagram that are giving you value. So you know what the expectation is. And because that is an unachievable goal. 500 kilos is never going to happen for me. Never. I don't want it to happen for me. But because I didn't know, again, it comes down to social media. Who are you watching? Like, if you are just watching people that are professional athletes and setting your standard on that, that's not your life. Follow and get knowledge from people that are relatable to you.
Yeah.
And get the knowledge from that. So yes, it can become a negative if your expectation is not realistic.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that are going to help you, and it's relatable to you.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why I started PTing, is so that people could. It wasn't going to these fitness coaches that were always slim, always good at PE in school. They just didn't get it. So people came to me because they were like, she's been fat, so she gets it.
Yeah.
And she's done it. So I think the only negative can come, again, it's all within yourself. The expectation, got to be realistic with them. And then if you're not, of course, it's going to knock your confidence. You're going to the gym trying to think you can pull 500, then you don't, nowhere near it, then you're going to be let down.
Yeah.
Just set realistic goals. Still challenging, because I hate people that are like, I'm going to try and do 50 kilos. And I'm like, you can do double that. Again, that's self-belief. But again, that's making sure you're surrounded by the right people that are going to help you and be like, okay, maybe we should start with X.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with X.
Yeah.
And then you won't be let down, because you can't be. Like, there's only one way in the gym, and that's progression. Some days we don't, because you can't do it every day. Tired, stressed, work, kids, whatever. But if you are doing it consistently, there is only one way, and that is up.
Yeah.
That's it. But you got to be realistic. You're not going to deadlift 500. That's it.
I think, I think on that, like what you said there, there's only one way, which is up. Sometimes, and I literally had this conversation yesterday, to be fair. I was like, if you're training 3 times a week and you're on top of your food 80% of the time, I said no one's 100%, or no one can be 100% all the time, not for long periods of time anyway. Something's going to happen. Like, it's got to happen. It's a little bit like if you were if you kept putting a pound, I always use these analogies and I always think, do they make sense? But I was like, if you were going to put a pound away every single day, I was like, at some point you're gonna have like a good chunk of savings. Like,
you're gonna fill that pot.
Yeah, like it's got to happen. But it's a little bit like what you said there. Sometimes people will relate to like the top 1%, like what you said with Eddie Hall. But sometimes, and again, I had this conversation last week actually, is like there's always going to be somebody who's that just ahead of you, whether it's in running, whether it's in strength training, and it's like levels. So like for me, first it was like, right, I want to hit this certain number in kilos, and then it's like, oh well, this sounds cooler in pounds. Who do I know that does that in pounds? They do that. Oh well, they're like the same weight as me, same height as me. Right, I'm gonna do that, and it's like levels, and you just keep chipping away at it.
Yeah.
Funny thing about Eddie Hall when you said that, actually, so I've only ever met Eddie Hall once, and we had a seminar, held a seminar with him in Leeds, which was pretty cool, and we were in the staff room in the gym, and he obviously was having a little bit of food and was chatting. And he was on about the fact, so at the time, my deadlift was like just over 250. And he was like, oh, so what's your deadlift? And I was like, oh, it's just about 250. And he literally, mid-bite, just turned around and was like, oh, well, you're halfway there. obviously to 500, and I was like, "Oh, Sam, cheers." I'm
He's
not.
so funny. He's so funny.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was a cool seminar. A cool seminar to fair, because obviously you went through the deadlift, and people who weren't even members of the gym said that it was pretty cool. So yeah, but yeah, I always remember that. Yeah, just literally was like, yeah, about halfway. I was like, all right.
Yes, going back to that like analogy you used as well with putting a pound away, right? This is for people that are maybe wanting to start the gym but not doing it and making up excuses, right? So, like you said, you put a pound away every day. You're going to fill that pot. You be consistent. If you don't, and you have to keep taking a pound away, then it's going to go down. So unless you do the thing that you want to get better at, it's just going to go down. Your confidence is going to go down. Your health's going to go down. It's never ever going to get better. Your mindset will go down because the thing that you want to do, you keep not doing it. You're going to feel more and more shit because you're just letting yourself down.
Yeah.
I'll start Monday. You don't. Okay, you're down. Take another pound. And then, okay, I'll start on Monday. And again, constantly letting yourself down. Where? If you just keep showing up, putting that pound in, you can only get better. The only way you get worse is by not fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Just do the thing. It blows my mind. It makes me sad that people still don't get this, but it's expectation. It's being realistic. People just I spent my lifting days watching CrossFit and all this, and like I have to do this, I have to do that, and when I realised actually I could just do what I want and what fits into my schedule, then now look, do you know what I mean? Like it was just that little bits all the time, putting that pound in, putting that pound in, putting that pound, and now my pot's full.
Yeah.
So it's just about being, again, it simply goes back to being very clear. Do you want to deadlift 500? No. Why are you aspiring to do it then?
Yeah.
Why are you looking up to that? That is just what I thought. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to deadlift 500 kilos. Absolutely not. Like, oh my God, I would kill myself. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I would kill myself trying to do it. So do I want that? No. So if it's not what you want, why are you getting stressed about it? Because most people look at these big goals and like, is that really what you want though? Well, not really. So why are you saying that? Because that's what you think you should want.
Yeah.
Come down to be very clear and then build a realistic plan to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. What do you think? Because it's funny you say that, where it's why even now, everyone knows that consistency is key. You just need to show up. It doesn't. I'm not always a big believer in it has to be a grind, because anything that's a grind is like no one enjoys that. There's going to be times where it's going to be pretty tough. Like when it's the middle of winter and it's like, God, I don't really want to go to the gym, but I think you've touched on it a couple of times. You go to the gym because you enjoy it. It's surround yourself with going to see friends or people that you're training with. It's going to be a good environment. Where do you think is the turning point where it like clicks in people's heads, where it's like that penny drops of actually I am just doing it now. It is just part of my routine. Do you think there is like an actual point where it just like clicks? It just clicks with people.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. For initially starting the journey, right? It's easier to not do it. It's easier to stay the same. It's easier to do the same thing. So only when, and this comes from experience, only when being the same is harder than doing the work. Like, usually that's when people hit rock bottom, right? And they're really not in a good place. And it's harder to stay there than it is to do the work, is when people decide to take the step. So for me, like when I had my daughter, it was easy for me to have McDonald's every day and to be fat and laze about and do nothing. It was only when I had my daughter that was like, it's going to be harder to stay the same and be unfit and unhealthy, not have any more kids because I'm so fat, than it is to actually just get up off my arse and go and do a walk. I think that, which is sad because we don't want to get to that point, but most of the time it gets to the point where staying the same is harder than doing the work. So that's usually the first thing, is where it's like, I cannot stay here anymore. So then you go and then you finally take the step.
Yeah.
For it just clicking and becoming a part of your life, that just comes with consistency.
Yeah.
Because we weren't born brushing our teeth. We were told to brush our teeth. We continued to brush our teeth. Why? Because we don't want to be the person with no teeth. You know? We don't want to be the person that's like got black teeth, like disgusting teeth, unhealthy teeth. So now we get up every morning and brush our teeth, and you don't even think about it. You're just like, why? Because we did it every single fucking day.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, you just do it now. Like, I would say, even up until 3 years ago, I would still be like, oh, God, got to train today, and oh God, I don't really have time to train, and blah blah blah. Now I don't even think about it. Like, I would have had to do my training early in the morning because I would have been scared that if I didn't do it then I wouldn't have done it later on.
Yeah.
Where now it doesn't matter what time it's happening,
Yeah.
because it's just a part of my life. And that just comes with consistency, doing what you like. If I had to, like, I really, really want to do an Ironman one day. Really, really want to do one, right? And I will do it. And I was supposed to be doing it this year. One reason I didn't do it was because my shoulder, it's still injured, and it just wasn't happening. My swimming coach was like, it's not ideal for you to do that till that's fixed. So that was the main reason. But I fucking hate swimming. I can't swim. I hate it. I get scared. I don't like to ruin my lashes. Like, there's lots of things. So at this time, it's not realistic because I just hate it. And I'm probably never going to love it, but I'm going to get to a point in my life where I'm going to be able to enjoy it a little bit more. And then it's going to be consistent. And then I'm going to go swimming and not think about it. Right now is not the right time. So we change. You don't have to pick one thing now and that's it forever. Your goals might change. Your likes might change. I never even used to want to be a PT. Now I love it. I love being a coach. But it's about doing something that you like. And if that's just walking, good. Go and do that. Find what you like, and it'll just become a part of your life.
Yeah.
Like everything else that we do. Like, think of something that you like. So I'll ask you the question. Mine is the gym. What do you like to do? That you do because you like it?
First answer, I don't know why. I just wanted to say I'm a big film buff, so I'll just watch films all the time.
Exactly. And you don't have to think about it. It's not a thought. For me, I hate watching films. Right? I'm not saying I don't watch films. Of course I do. But the thought of it, because my brain's just like all the time. Like, I struggle with that. So I have to kind of plan in when I'm going to be watching a film, and like when I'm going to be calm. And usually I have to plan to go to the cinema to watch the film because I just don't enjoy it that much. Okay? So that's two different things for me. Like, you don't have to think about that. You could put on a film and just sit and watch one right now. Where that wouldn't work for me. It doesn't work because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy sitting down. I like to be on the go. I like to be active. So it's the same. It's with anything. If you enjoy it, it's not even going to be a question of, am I going to do it? Can I stick to it? You're just going to do it because you love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Now I've kind of went off on a tangent now, but that's my thoughts, you know.
Big fan of a tangent. I think on that it kind of comes like full circle. So like, if you enjoy it, of course you're going to keep doing it. You know, because like just using the film thing, you know, it's going to take more effort to be like, right, well, actually, I'm going to have to go to the cinema, or I'm going to plan time to do it. Like, I'm one of them as well, where I could put a film on halfway through and then carry on watching it because I'm like, all right, I've seen this before, I'll carry on watching that. But it's like the first bit that we spoke about, like comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things only get better. You know, like with the brushing the teeth, I think that's a really good example. It's like driving a car. That's out of loads of people's comfort zone, and all of a sudden you pass your driving test and you just sit in the car and it's just like you're just on autopilot, check your mirrors, get you set, and then you're off. And I think that's the same with, you know, the gym, training, just moving. It's like over the weekend, we looked after my girlfriend's mum and dad's dog, and it was just like, because I had a dog when I was a kid, it's just like autopilot to get up, go for a walk, and it just happens.
Yeah.
Whereas, for anything for the gym, sometimes, the more investment that you put in, it's gonna happen over time. No one gets good at anything just like that. It doesn't happen. So the last question that I like to ask Nicola, we've covered quite a lot of topics there, a couple of tangents thrown in, but for everyone listening, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom?
Oh God. For starting the gym or just in general?
Just in general, everything that we've spoken about there.
Do what you want to do with anything. Just do what you want to do. Like, everybody does what they think they should do. And let me tell you, I did what I thought I should do for a long time, and it only ended badly. I spent a large part of my life, probably about 15 years more of my life, thinking I should do what I think I should do, what everybody else thinks I should do. I should be staying at home and being just a mum, and I should be doing this. Fuck that. It only ends one way, and it's not good. I got to the point, I did that for so long, I got to the point where I didn't even want to be here. Because I wasn't being true to what I wanted to do. And you only, everyone says it and it's like so cheesy, but you do only live once. You only got one fucking shot. Do what you want to do. You want to go to the gym? Go to the gym. Don't want to go to the gym? Don't go to the gym. You want to lift weights? Do it. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to be a fucking astronaut, go for it. Do it. Who's to say you can't? No one. Do what you want to do. It just blows my mind that people think, like I said, that they think they have to go to the gym. Oh, I have to go to the gym. You don't. Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to lift weights? Not really. I just like walking. Just walk then.
Yeah.
Just walk. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You pick. It's your life. Do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Just because other people aren't doing it. I had this conversation with my daughter and my sister. And, I go away quite a lot. And my kids were struggling with this at one point. And I just didn't understand, why. I explained to them why, blah, blah, blah. And my sister said to me, they're struggling because other mums don't do that where you're from. So it's not normal for them.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. Now, if I just went and did what all the other mums did, I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
I love my kids and I hate leaving them. But I love going away and meeting people and traveling for work. I love it. I've always wanted to do it. Always. I remember watching a local girl here. She's a bodybuilder. Her name's Erin Thompson. Absolutely amazing. I remember watching her journey in her business, and she started to travel with work, and she was traveling coaching. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. But at that time I thought, oh, I can't do that because I'm a mum and I have to stay at home.
Yeah.
And yet it was bad enough I was working, So if I went about thinking I should be just staying at home and then my whole life should revolve around my children and that's it, that's what I did, and I was miserable. I love my kids. It doesn't mean I don't love them, the same as other mums love theirs just because they're staying at home. But that's maybe what they want to do. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I want to get out there and grow as a person and be better and get experiences that I can then come home and share with my children. Yeah. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And if other people don't think that's okay, then that's okay. That's your problem. I don't think you should stay at home all the time.
Yeah.
I think you do need that time for yourself. But if that's what you want to do, then I'm okay with that. Just do what you want to do. That's my best advice for anyone. Really sit. It's a new quarter now, people. You're writing your goals. And, a lot of people look at their goals they haven't achieved, right? And they get upset, I haven't achieved that goal. But is that goal really what you want? It's probably why you didn't achieve it.
Yeah.
It's really not what you want. That's why. There's no drive to do stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's like another analogy, since we love them. If somebody asks you to do something, you're going to do it, regardless if you want to do it or not. because we always do things for other people, even if we don't want to do it. Like the kids want us to run them in their clubs. We don't want to do that. It's so shit. In the car, like a fucking taxi. But we do it because we want to do it for them.
Yeah.
So what about us? Why can we not do things that we want to do? We spend that much time doing things for other people. Just do what you want. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
as well, I think on that, I think that's a good point. I think, the whole theme through the chat has been like, look, it doesn't mean to say that, if you're strength training, you need to do powerlifting, strongman or anything like that. There isn't like a gym police. No one's going to say, right, well, you've trained for 2 years, you've not competed, you can't come to the gym no more. Like, it just doesn't. It just doesn't happen. But the one thing, what I would maybe just add on to what you've said there is, like, you might actually surprise yourself. You might be like, do you know what? This is pretty cool. Like, there was, I remember a woman at the first gym that I worked at, and she started doing strongman, strongwoman, and I've not been in contact with her. Just saw her on social media, and she was actually at Britain's strongest woman under whatever category, and I was
amazing.
like,
Love that.
I was like, go on. I was like, I think that's really cool, because you might just surprise yourself, and you might get, to do like what you mentioned. You always wanted to travel. Now running a gym, going to different, Giants live events, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing that. Whereas, we touched on it before. There's that perception of, well, I'm never going to be able to do that. You don't know until you give it a go. There might be some things where you might rock up and you might not be able to do it. But then equally, it's like what you mentioned about the 300 yoke lift there, or frame carry. It's like, well, if you've not done it, then again, no one's gonna like then bring it up in a week's time and be like, do you remember
nobody
you didn't
gives
do
a
that?
shit.
Yeah, no
Nobody
one's
gives a
bothered.
shit.
So yeah, quite a lot of topics covered there. Thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on, Nicola. Really, really enjoyed chatting with
problem.
you
Thank
today.
you for having me.
For everyone listening who might have any questions about what we've chatted about today, see the content that you put out there, or just reach out to you and ask you any questions, where can people find you or reach out to you?
Instagram is where I am most present. So _NB coaching. I also have my own podcast, so I speak a lot of athletes, everyday athletes, top level athletes. So that's Tinny Talk on Spotify, and will be on YouTube as well. My YouTube is NBTV. So, but if you forget any of that, Instagram's the best place to find me. _NB coaching. That is the place to be for me. Definitely, that's my number one platform. One thing I want to add: when I was in my worst, darkest place, somebody said to me, my coach at the time said to me, 2 things. No one's coming to save you. So what the fuck do you want? That changed my entire life. And that's why I said that last bit, word of wisdom. Do what you want to do. So when I ever get to that point in my mind where I think I should do this because it might improve my business, but is it what you want to do? No. I don't want to do that. And if you don't want to do it, you're not going to achieve it.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm finishing. No one's coming to save you. What the fuck do you want to do? There you go. That's the number one question to ask yourself if you're in that rut right now. What the fuck do you want to do?
I generally thought you were just going to do a mic drop there and just like walk off to the.
Yeah. Well, I should have been prepared. I do love a microphone.
No, thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on today. Like I say, I think some really, really useful stuff in there. So thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on. Thanks a lot to everyone listening, and I will see you all next week.
Thank you.